welcome you to the celebration of their marriage. My name is Eva McCurley, and I'm performing today's union under the authority of the humanist organisation, A Quiet Revolution. Humanism celebrates the stories that bring people together and the bonds that we choose to make those who are important in our lives. Today we focus on the journey that has brought Douglas and Melvyn to this important day. We celebrate the years that they have already spent in partnership together, and we are supportive witnesses to the promises as they pledge their future days to one another too. Although today is an important and a significant one, it's also one that truly reflects Douglas and Melvyn. So we have humour and lightness alongside the serious too. Now might be a good time to mention, for instance, that when I first met Douglas and Melvyn, Melvyn jokingly referred to his bridal dress that he was intending to wear today. And not knowing him at all yet, it took me a moment to see the humour in his face. Not that I am for a second implying that Melvyn couldn't have carried off dramatic legs and a full skirt if he had wanted to do so. But I think we can agree that the coordinating kilt outfits were the right direction to go in. I always ask couples if there are significant people amongst those assembled that they would want me to speak about in a special way. And the resounding answer today was everybody. Everyone here has been chosen as a guest because they are important to Melvyn and Douglas. So I would like to thank you on behalf of our couple for the role that you play in their lives. I drew the line at finding a way for our grooms to be given away by their cats. So we turn now to our gathering of sisters, Alison, Sharon and Leslie. Your brothers wanted to give you a special role in today's celebration to reflect the strength of the support that you have given to them, both as brothers and as partners for each other. I'm told that Sharon is the boss of the family and have been reassured that this marriage has her blessing. Definitely. Melvyn joked, in fact, that his sisters were not so much giving him away today as hurling him gratefully down the aisle towards Douglas. Douglas and Melvyn both spoke of the welcome that they felt from their relationship's beginning. And today's legal binding of the two families simply confirms in law what has long been the truth of their lives. And so, we go back to that beginning, to a meeting through the Love Shack, AOL's online dating, that became a first date here in New Lanark on Glasgow Fair Monday, the 21st of July, 1997. The vehicle in which they arrived could not have been further from today's stately arrival in Nichol's beautiful Rolls Royce. Date one began in a rusty old Volkswagen Golf with holes in the floor. I was, however, given some cause for worry about the reliability of today's beautiful classic, and by that I mean the car and not the people, when I was informed that we would say the Rolls failed to proceed rather than say break down should the unthinkable happen. So thanks to Nicol for ensuring I didn't have a groom arriving in an RAC recovery vehicle today. 25 years ago, on that first date, Melvyn and Douglas started as they would continue with a date in the outdoors, taking an enjoyable walk past the Falls of Clyde to the weir at Bonington Lynn and back, a walk that they've taken many times since. After that, they stopped for a takeaway curry in Lanark. And that first date shaped much of what's happening today. Melvyn and Douglas wanted to come back to the place where it all began, to mark the 25th anniversary of their beginning. And I'm assured that there will be lovely food served later to mirror their first meal together too. Melvyn and Douglas knew that they had something special very quickly. On Melvyn's 28th birthday, a month after they met, they shared a celebratory meal at the Tron Theatre Cafe Bar, and Melvyn said to Douglas that he wanted them to spend the rest of their lives together. He might have been a smudge less convinced after one or two of the longer outdoor adventures that Melvin and Douglas have enjoyed together over the years, enjoyed not being the first word that sprang to mind when Melvin told me about a trip which involved cycling the length of the Kintyre Peninsula to get the ferry from Campbelldown to Ballycastle and then having to cycle a further 15 miles to the youth hostel in the dark. I am assured that the air was blue by this point, and their first long distance outing together was nearly their last. In preparation for later trips, Melvin learned to ask how far it was. And his key question, Douglas said, was, is it hilly? In their early days together, Melvin thought that he should make the effort and always go hill walking with Douglas. Now, if he doesn't like the sound of it, Melvin sends him off to do it by himself. The advent of e-bikes really supported their mutual love of cycling. But the Gay Outdoor Club go bike and outdoor lads, with a number of those present with us today having formed their friendships with Douglas and Melvin through one of these groups. There have been significant milestones along the journey already travelled as a couple too. Melvin moved in to share Douglas's home in Sinclair Drive in Glasgow in the autumn of 1999, and a year later they would set up in business together. They came from quite different career backgrounds. After a year teaching chemistry, Douglas entered the world of IT with a focus on programming and IT support, and after 13 years of working for others, decided to try his hand at working from home. Melvin, meanwhile, had his start as a YTS chef, aged 16, and ended up running a hotel before stepping sideways into a retail career. He was working as a floating manager before he and Douglas decided to combine their skill set and set up in business together. Douglas told me that Melvin's definitely more front of house than he is. And their friend Nicol said that he admired Melvin's business focus. Well, what he actually said was that Melvin may not be a great speller, but he knows how to spell profit. The duo initially rented a small shop in Farmalone Road, Rutherglen, for their growing business and took on their employee David in 2002. David has worked for them ever since, and as Douglas and Melvin phrased it to me, he deserves a medal for being piggy in the middle all these years. The business quickly became successful, and they moved to a larger shop across the road in 2004, which they then purchased in 2012 on the advice of their dear friend Nicol. 2012 was a year of house moving too. Melvin and Douglas moved to a bungalow in Cambuslang and set about decorating it to their taste. I was told that it has been Douglas who does the decorating, and it only took a pandemic to make him finish it. I made reference to the couple's beloved cats, and even though they are not here today, we can't exclude them from the stories. Back in the Sinclair Drive days, Douglas and Melvin had two kittens, Snap, a large ginger tabby, and Scribble, a smaller tabby boy. And these days, they have two half-Bengal cats, Thor and Loki, whom, in their own words, they worship like every cat owner should. I asked what married life held for them, and Douglas and Melvin said, more cats, although there's no immediate plans to add to the duo. Holidays are something of a rarity when you run your own business, and Melvin and Douglas told me that they had enjoyed holidays abroad together perhaps half a dozen times, but they do plan to book a trip for their honeymoon, although it will be a little while in the future yet. Melvin loves the film Shirley Valentine and has always wanted to see the azure blue sky and white buildings, so they thought what better time to discover the Greek islands than on their honeymoon. David will hold the fort while they're away, and since Nicol also works 2 half days, he'll probably help out to let our newlyweds go on this adventure. Hopefully, they will travel together, although Douglas does have an Irish passport and did say that he's no qualms about using it to get in the good queue at the airport. As we prepare to listen to our couple exchange vows, I thought I would share some brief comments that Douglas and Melvin gave me about each other when I asked them to think about each other's best qualities. Melvin said, "Douglas may be a quiet person, but underneath that cold exterior is an absolute heart of gold and a mine of useless trivia." While Douglas said of Melvin, "He is hard-working, works longer hours than me, while I skive off hill walking or cycling and never complains about it." Although there is their typical touch of humour here, that in no way undermines the seriousness of their devotion and the importance they place on today's ceremony. Marriage is something that they both saw as significant, despite their lives already being joined in so many ways. And Douglas proposed to Melvin on Christmas Day 2016, 7 months before Melvin had been planning to do the same on their 20th anniversary at New Lanark. Douglas and Melvin have chosen to exchange rings as part of their promise giving today, so that, can I ask if their sisters can join us in standing and the rings are made ready for this exchange of vows.